Good morning. Today we're going to go through what a mole is and do some conversions between grams and moles to grams. So first of all, what is a mole? So a mole, if we think about, like, we always know that 1 dozen is equal to 12 of something. So a mole is kind of the same sort of thing. It's a set unit. 1 mole of anything is equal to 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd particles. And that's that number that we call Avogadro's number. 1 mole is also equal to the mass that we found off the table. So 1 mole of any substance is equal to its molar mass or its gram formula mass. And Avogadro's number is this 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd particles. All right, so if I have a quantity that's in grams and I want to convert to moles. So let's say I have 4.75 grams of sodium hydroxide and I want to convert that to moles. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find the gram formula mass. So that was what we worked on before we had our snow day. So it means that I find the mass off of the table. So if I have NaOH, that means I have 1 Na, and when I look up on our reference table, the mass of sodium is 23.0. 1 oxygen, and when I look up on the table, oxygen is 16, and when I look up for 1 hydrogen, it's 1. So I add those up, and my formula mass for sodium hydroxide is 40 grams. So what that 40 grams is equal to is 1 mole. So in other words, 1 mole of NaOH is 40 grams. So I'm going to use this to be able to do my conversion. Okay, so I'm going to set up a proportion and I'm going to cross multiply. So if I know that 1 mole of NaOH is 40 grams, I'm going to set up that ratio. So 1 mole of NaOH is 40 grams. I want to know how many moles are there in 4.75 grams. Okay, so if 1 mole of NaOH is 40 grams, I want to know how many moles are there in 4.75 grams. So grams and grams match up on the bottom, and moles match up on the top. Okay, so now I have a proportion, so I cross multiply. So 40 times x gives me 40x, and 1 times 4.75 gives me 4.75. Then I want to get the x by itself, so I divide both sides by 40. So I divide that out. I have 3 significant figures here, I have 3 here. So when I divide that out, I get 0.119 moles of NaOH. Okay, which makes sense. If 1 mole of NaOH is 40 grams and I only have 4.75 grams, then I obviously have way less than a mole. So it makes sense. Okay, so the first step is to find your gram formula mass. That's the mass of 1 mole, and then you set up your proportion. If 1 mole is 40 grams, I want to know how many moles would be 4.75 grams. And then we cross multiply. We need to get our x by ourselves, so divide both sides by 40, and I get 0.1919 moles. Okay. Then if I'm going to be going the opposite way, and it's moles to grams, it's the same thing. I'm still going to be finding my gram formula mass first. I'm still going to be setting a proportion. It's just that now my x is going to be my grams instead of my moles. So now if I have 40.5 moles of H2SO4, and I want to know how many grams that is. Same thing, first step, I'm going to find my gram formula mass. So now I have 2 H's, so that's 2, and each H is 1, so that's 2 for my H's. I have 1 S, which if I look up on the table is 32.1, and then I have 4 O's, so that's 4 times 16, because oxygen is 16, and that gives me 64.0. So I add those together, and I get 98.1 grams. So that means 1 mole of H2SO4 is equal to 98.1 grams. So now again, I'm going to use this ratio and put it up over here to be able to solve. So I know 1 mole is 98.1 grams. 1 mole of H2SO4. So now I want to know if 40.5 moles is how many grams. So this time my X is on the bottom because grams is what I'm trying to find out. X is what I don't know. Moles is what I do know. So 1 mole is 98.1 grams. 40.5 moles is how many grams? And I cross multiply. So 1 times X just gives me X. 98.1 times 40.5. I have 3 significant figures in 3, so I end up with 3,970 grams of H2SO4. Okay, so let's see if it makes sense. If 1 mole is 98.1 and I have 40 moles, yeah, it makes sense that it would be 40 times as big. Okay, so 1 mole is 98.1, 40.5 moles is how many, and cross multiply. Okay, so you guys are going to go ahead and use this, and I have uploaded a quizzes, so you should have paper and pencil and calculator and your reference table in front of you when you start your quizzes. If you have any questions, send me a note on Remind, and we'll go over some of this again tomorrow when we have our live Zoom. So make sure that you connect tomorrow. I'll post the link later. It's at 10:55. Okay. Thanks, guys.